and WebOS phones. Stitcher is smart radio for your phone. Find it in your app store or at Stitcher.com. Stitcher Smart Radio, the smarter way to listen to radio.
Are you ready, Steve? Andy? Yeah! Bert? Well, all right, fellas. Let's go!
You're listening to CFRN, the Christian Financial Radio Network.
Today's broadcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download at www.audibletrial.com/CFRN. Over 85,000 titles. Choose from mystery, romance, religion, science, technology, business, New York Times bestsellers, even children's books. You name it, Audible has it. With 85,000 titles to choose from, you're sure to find the perfect audiobook for yourself or to give as a gift, and it's absolutely free. Just point your browser to audibletrial.com/CFRN. That's audibletrial.com/CFRN. And become a part of the audiobook revolution by downloading your free audiobook today. audibletrial.com/CFRN.
Hey, trader, want to get rich quick? Well, good luck with that. If, on the other hand, you actually want to learn how to trade, the place to be is www.cfrn.net. Tune in Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern for our daily devotional, and then spend the next 3 hours learning how it's done from professional traders who actually trade for a living. That's www.cfrn.net. Every trading day from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern. CFRN, a community of believers who trade for a living.
Good afternoon, traders, and welcome back to the CFRN Emini Futures Cast. This is the daily broadcast of Indeterminate Length, where we discuss all things Emini, along with some really big ideas on the finer points of trading gold, bonds, crude, sugar, the euro, and even T-bills. Joining us today from our studios in Boston, Mr. Michael Bork. From our trading desk in Chicago, Mr. Burton Schlichter. Now, to get things started, let's go to our host and founder in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Here's Dwayne.
Good afternoon. Welcome back. Today is Wednesday, 14th day of June, 2017, a.k.a. Hump Day. Depends on where you are on the Blue Marble and the time zone that you're in. I mean, it might already be Thursday in some places. But here in the U.S. of A., those of us on Pacific time are not quite there yet, but those of you on the East Coast are already on the downward slide into the weekend. So, congrats. Hey, glad you decided to spend a little time with us today. Many of you have been doing that almost daily for over a decade. And sometimes I just stop and I go, really? And it's true. I have the server logs to prove it. Those of you that are returning today, again, welcome back. To those of you that are here for the very first time today, because you heard about what an exciting place it is, a special welcome to you. We'll roll out that digital red carpet here and get you seated. Now, everybody's comfortable. So, if you cannot see the chart I have up of the S&P 500 Emini Futures, you can correct that by going to our homepage at CFRN.net. Not on a mobile device. The whole mobile thing's just out of whack. I gotta figure out a way to fix that. But anyway, go to our homepage on the right-hand side. Click the big microphone. Follow the instructions. Every month you got to go through a 30-second registration. What that means is you're now entitled to join the show every day after the 30-second registration with one-click access. So that's pretty smooth. Allows you to see the charts and access the chat box. That means you get to participate in the discussion. Okay? We have a global audience, so if you got something you want to share with the world, something you want to get off your chest, a rant, a rave, a thought, an idea, an invention, whatever, it's your world. I'm Dwayne, and this is your world. Okay. Yeah, I stole that from Waters. Now, except he says it's his world. See, I said it's your world, and I'm just in it. Okay. There's another way to tackle the beast, and that's to go to youtube.com/CFRN, click the little live button, and voila, you got charts, live charts. Live charts never lie. There's a movie coming out, Pirates of the Caribbean. Live charts never lie. Okay, and you also have access to a chat box there. So chat it up. You know, you got to have something on your mind, something you want to share, something you want to toot your horn about, or ask somebody to pray for you about. We do that too. We cover all the bases here at CFRN. Great show yesterday. I know for some of you it was like, just, you know, do I really want to sit here and listen to two old friends catch up? But it was so much more than that. On the blog, emini.cfrn.net, you can grab a free copy of the latest book Jeff has published. It is an ebook. It is free because he no longer wants to support the, I don't know, financial industrial complex or something. This is a rich before 30 guy who chose to go intentionally homeless. If you missed yesterday's show, it's long, but you really should listen to it and grab a free copy of the book. Now, it's got a lot of pretty pictures. I enjoyed that. My wife actually read the thing, and probably when Jeff comes on next week, she'll come on too, because they are both on this ketogenesis diet kind of thing. But there's some points where she strongly disagrees with some of the things that he supports. So could make for some interesting radio. I look forward to it. Now, you know how to see the charts. You can see the S&P 500. Those are last week's zones, and those zones were created for the June contract. So now it's a new week. Partners have the new zones, which were created for the September contract, because that's what we're trading is the September contract in this S&P. But look at them there zones. We went from zone to zone, overshot the zone, came back to the zone, and so far have found support. Now, those of you that were following me Sunday night, when I sent out a couple tweets, I said I'm starting a swing trade beta test. Now, when we did the beta test on Twitter for what became the Concierge Trade Alerts, we did a 3-year public beta. I'm too old to do another 3-year public beta. This might be more like 3 weeks, maybe 3 months. But we'll prove the validity of the product and then tell you more about it. The crude trade is looking muy excelente. It's racked up about $2,000 in gains so far, I think. We'll double check it a little later. The S&P 500, on the other hand, is right back where we started on Sunday night. Well, no, that's not true. Let me roll back. Here's Sunday night. We traded lower. The trigger on the S&P trade was 24.33. Okay. And we ran up. There was no stop out. We ran up to 24. 43. Is that right? Yeah. So there was 10 points in the trade. Now, you may have heard me say once or twice that important prices and important areas are almost always tested. Okay? So you had a trade that ran 10 points, and now you've got a market that has come back to test the very entry that was given out on, and it was disclosed that it would be a swing trade, a multi-day trade. And we'll take a look at the targets and the stops, and we'll go through all of that a little bit later in the show today. Okay? So, but I do want to see this hold as support. If it gives way, if this breaks, then that trade is probably, well, I'll just be hoping you took your 10. All right, let's look at the numbers from around the world. We'll start with the cash markets here in the US of A. The Dow is up a whopping 3 points. NASDAQ is down a half a point. S&P 500 is down 3.5 points. And the Russell 2000 is down almost 8. The mover and shaker there is the Russell, which is down over 0.5%. In the commodity basket, crude oil is down $1.70. That's $1,700 per contract. Trading 44.76 last, and gold, on the other hand, is up $9.90, shining brightly at $12.78.80 last. Let's go to Europe. Markets there closed mixed. The FTSE down 26 points. The DAX up 40 points. And the CAC down 18.5. No mover, no shaker. And in Asia, we find the markets there mixed as well. Nikkei closed down 15 points. Shanghai closed down 23 points. Now that's 0.75%. And the Hang Seng closed up 23 points. Barely a ripple. Asia mixed. Europe mixed. And in the US of A, the only green we got, other than gold, would be wheat's up $3. Would be the Dow, which is now up 1 point. The S&P is down 3. Anytime the Dow and the S&P are straddling the flat line, one of them's got it right and the other one doesn't. I think this time the S&P might have it right. Now this afternoon, as you all know, we have a Fed announcement coming, and the odds makers say there's a 91% probability that Janet is going to raise the rates. Now, is the economy ready? That question is becoming increasingly relevant as the latest consumer price data released today, show that inflation is moving away from the central bank's elusive 2% target, not towards it. This signals underlying economic weakness, stagnant wages, and a job market that could still use improvement despite a historically low jobless rate. There's another crucial indicator that Fed officials are glossing over that could get them into real trouble, causing them to again overestimate the economy's strength and again fall short of its inflation goal. Andrew Levin, a career Fed economist and former special advisor to ex-Fed chairman Helicopter Ben Bernanke, or I guess that's Ben Helicopter Bernanke, told Business Insider he is worried by a noticeable decline in inflation expectations, both as reflected in consumer surveys and bond market rates. Monetary theory suggests inflation expectations are a key harbinger of future price growth. Fed officials often view it as a leading indicator. This is why the FMOC, or the FOMC, statement of longer run goals says the committee should be concerned if inflation were running persistently above or below the objective. Levin, who is now a professor at Dartmouth, argues the Fed's reference to inflation expectations in its policy statements is misleading. In May, the Fed said market-based measures of inflation compensation remain low. Survey-based measures of longer-term inflation expectations are little changed on balance. That's only true, Levin argues, over the very short time. Over a longer period, which is far more relevant, inflation expectations have actually eroded steadily since the Great Recession. Evidently, the FOMC has glossed over these trends by using obfuscatory terms like little changed and on balance. If the Fed continues to ignore the downward drift in inflation expectations and simply proceeds with its intended path of policy tightening, actual inflation is likely to keep falling short of the Fed's target and might well decline even further. Now, as kids growing up, we always heard about inflation and, oh my gosh, the price of milk's gone up and bread, and they don't factor that in, or gas, it's the stuff that you use every day that doesn't even count. But here we have a economy or a situation where inflation is a good thing. The Fed wants to see inflation. We need inflation. It's a driver of the economy, and we can't get it up to the 2% target rate. Nonetheless, the odds are 91%. Now, that was before those numbers came out this morning, I think. But I haven't seen anything that's changed those numbers. 91% that she will raise the rate today, and that will put us over 1% for the first time since, I don't think I have that on this page. So probably one of the really smart members of the audience will look that up for me. The Dow has hit a record high as the Fed decision looms. 10-year yields hit the lowest level since November, ahead of the Fed announcement. European markets closed lower, supposedly ahead of the Fed, and the euro hit a 6-month high. Asia closed lower following the release of China's industrial data. Oil actually dropped below $45, down more than 3%, as crude and gasoline stock reports disappoint. Treasury holds higher after 7-year sale. Those are basically the headlines, and all eyes are on the Fed at 2 o'clock today. So once that news comes out, and I gave you some scenarios yesterday, if she raises the rates, there'll be a knee-jerk reaction to the downside, and then traders will go, well, wait a minute, but that means the economy's in better shape than we thought, and so then the market will rally. If she doesn't raise rates, there'll be a knee-jerk reaction to the upside, and then traders will go, oh, hey, wait a minute, she knows something we don't, and then prices will move lower. So our policy is, anytime there is major economic news, whether it's the Fed announcement or the WASD, one's finance and the other's agriculture, if it's major news, we don't trade news. We watch it, we study it, and when the market goes back to its normal rhythm, that's when we get back in the water. Okay? So I've tried it. When I first started with futures, I traded the Fed. Sometimes I won and sometimes I lost. Now, those sound like gambling terms, don't they? It's exactly what I was doing. I was gambling. Sometimes I won and sometimes I lost. Now I will only put on a trade if I feel I have a high probability, not of winning, but a high probability of being profitable. See, profit and loss, those are business terms. Winning and losing, well, those are terms you take with you to Vegas on the weekend junket. Today's Wednesday, so Wayne Jett will be joining us at the top of the hour. I would think that sometime between now and then, the Stock Whisperer, John, will join us. We look forward to that as always. And Michael's going to pop in right now, give us a recap of everything that happened in the live training room today, blow by blow, like we do every day.
Yeah, my man.
Now,
Yes.
50% of our audience comes to us via a mobile device. Put the phone in your pocket and go get a real computer. I'm just kidding. I don't go into a long explanation, but the mobile site doesn't work the way it should. It actually meets Google's qualifications for a mobile site, but it's not. Anyway, I got a lot of work to do. But
It's got one little tweak on the mobile site, and the way that this looks right here. See, on the mobile site, we don't get this. We don't get this, but we do get this from CFRN.net, and you got to click there, and then you go to the next one, and you click there, but it doesn't bring you to this page. It brings you to a page that's got this text on it, but it doesn't have the register now button.
So
That's the problem.
if, in fact, you want to take the trial, go directly to, especially if you're on a mobile device,
If you're on a mobile phone, just go to apply.cfrn.net. If you're on a mobile phone,
there you go.
apply.cfrn.
That's the ticket.
and that will take you directly to the spot.
And it's like the mobile site, it's like Salvador Dali took a bad acid trip or something, because Google wants you to have a mobile responsive site. And so this company convinced me that, hey, it's like you put all the parts in the blender and go, and then we pour you out a smoothie, and it's your website, smooth as silk, mobile design. Yeah, not so much. Not so much. It passes again. It passes the Google snip test, but it's literally unusable. So I'm going to see what I can do to fix it.
So what does this bring you to?
What?
Yeah. You see, on the mobile, when you click on this, and the mobile doesn't bring up the same thing that apply.cfrn.net does. But if you go to cfrn.net and you click on this right here, this on the mobile should bring you to apply.cfrn.net. That's what it should do, but it doesn't. It brings you here. And then you click on that, and that should also bring you to apply.cfrn.net.
Yeah.
But it brings you somewhere else. That second one brings you somewhere else, but the first one should just bring you there. I don't know how to fix that.
We may have to just shoot it. I don't know.
Yeah, just put it in a barrel and dump fire and dump gas on it. Or match.
All right.
Anyway.
So remember, guys, Wayne Jett, top of the hour, 1 o'clock. And in between now and then, we'll do all kinds of stuff. And John will pop in, most likely. And
Most likely.
as soon as Michael's done, I'll be back. I'm not
Where's
going
Pete?
anywhere, so I'll be right here.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Good afternoon, everyone. Today is Wednesday, the 14th day. 14th day of June. We're almost halfway through June already. 2017. If you have not taken a free trial with us, we made it really simple for you. If you're using a computer, not your mobile phone, then you just need to go here to the home page at cfrn.net, and right here at the top where it says click click there. Then fill out this little form. If you're using a mobile phone, and specifically if you're using Safari, then go to apply.cfrn.net and just fill out the form there. Okay, go to apply.cfrn.net, and that will give you the free trial. Once you do that, you got to click. You'll be sent a confirmation link. You got to click the confirmation link. Okay. Now, recap. Today, if you're going to read the spreadsheet, you got to read the CFTC risk disclosures down at the bottom. Boy, I feel like I'm lisping. Anyway, today's the 14th. Today we made 5 ticks in the YM. We made 0 in the euro. 5 ticks in the YM, 35 in crude, and 1 in gold, bringing us to 385 on the day. Okay. Today it took 71 minutes and 3 trades to get to the goal for the day. At that point, we're up 125, and we took a total of 7 trades today. On the month now, we're at 1341 and a quarter. That's over 10 days, averaging 134 per day. 134 per day. On the year now, we are at 17,476. That's over 111 days, averaging 157 per day. Okay. Okay. Now, let's get into what we did. Gold, we had the one opportunity here on gold that we took, and we got 1 tick profit on it. 1 tick profit. We missed this one, and you can see gold has been really choppy today. We have FOMC this afternoon, so gold is really choppy. Actually, what really happened, if you look at the bigger picture, this morning, we had all this news come out here at 8:30 this morning, and gold made a big run, and then it just consolidated. Okay, because this afternoon, when the FOMC stuff comes out, we'll probably see another big move on gold. Okay, but that's what was going on with gold today. Right, and I was pretty much anticipating that. Well, not so much a big run, but the flatness. And look at what's going on here with the euro. All right, and tomorrow I think we're going to roll the euro. I can't believe we're rolling it on the following Thursday. But last time I looked, there was 244,000 in volume on the September contract and 300-something thousand in volume on the June contract. So tomorrow I think is when we're going to finally roll the euro. Okay, speaking of the euro, let's go back and show what we did or didn't do. There was a long opportunity here. Sorry, a long opportunity here that we missed, and a long opportunity here and here that we missed, and then it totally flattened out. So that was it for the euro. Okay, we missed a couple of opportunities, a few opportunities. Crude, now we killed crude today. We had crude inventories coming out, and I was telling everyone before the crude inventories came out, I drew this up here, and I said, if it's going to go up, look for it to get up to this level, and if it's going to go down and it drops below 46, look for it to get at least 45.75. And well, it did all that when the inventories came out. It did this, which I think was some short covering, got right up here into this area. Now this area, what this area is where it was yesterday when the API numbers came out. Okay, this is when the API numbers came out yesterday. And we had a huge sell-off because they came out higher than anticipated. And then there was some short covering right here. And I think that's what it was, because it just ran right up there into that area, exactly that area where it was yesterday. And then it sold off again. So if they were covering shorts here, they would have only had to endure this pullback up to here. But it looked like right here, they all jumped right back in on the short side. Okay, because I said if it drops down below 46, look for it to get at least to 45.75. And well, it did that in all in the same minute, I think. So it did everything that I said in the same minute. And then a few minutes later, we started trading it. Okay. We had an opportunity right here on crude. The first one, we took 7 ticks. The second one, we took 10, put us at 17. Third one, we took 10 more, put us at 27. And the next one, we took 8, put us at 35. Okay. Since then, crude's been kind of choppy. I haven't. That's just, yeah, it's been pretty choppy since then. Okay, on the YM, the YM, we had just a couple of opportunities that we took advantage of. First one was a break even somewhere. Somewhere in here there was a break even. I don't know where it is, but there was a break even. And we took this one right here for 5 ticks profit. There was an opportunity here that would have given you some profit, and I don't remember if the ES was too close to a zone here, but there was an opportunity there. Then it flattened out. Now the ES, speaking of that beastly thing, started out right here in the zone, then it moved down a little bit, then it was just grinding all the way down here. But look at the cycle. You see the cycle inside the slingshot is just going sideways in the middle. So there's no trading in there. None. It's just a mess. You know, it's not trending at all. I mean, looking at it this way, it looks like it's a downtrend, but really, you can't trade that junk. You just gotta leave it alone. If you're doing it on a higher time frame, you know, like let's go look at a 5 minute. Oops. Yeah, no, not even there. Let's go 15 minute. Nope, still nothing. So let's go back to our 4 tick range, my comfort zone, my wheelhouse. And we still have nothing. And that was it. That was it for the morning, guys. Again, if you're going to read this, you got to read all the CFTC risk disclosures down at the bottom. And today is the 14th day of June. Good Lord, the 14th day of June. We had 5 ticks in the euro, 5 ticks, not in the euro, 5 ticks in the YM, 35 ticks in crude, 1 tick in gold, 385 on the day. Today it took 71 minutes and 3 trades to get to the goal for the day, and we took a total of 7. So on the month now, we're at 1341 and a quarter. That's over 10 days, averaging 134 a day. 134 a day. Okay. And on the year, 17,476. That's over 111 days. That's per contract, 2 hours per day, over 111 2-hour days, averaging 157 per day. So what does that average per hour? Let's just bring up a little calculator here. Check this out. 17476 divided by 222. $78 an hour. Not bad doing it from home. And that's with 1 contract. The beauty of that is if you wanted to double that and move your income up to 178 times 2 is what? 156 an hour. You just got to add another contract.
Yeah, but I got this one email about a guy who made $41,237.16 in his boxer shorts before he finished breakfast.
Before he finished breakfast? Today?
Oh, every day.
Every day?
Yeah. Yeah. He hasn't had a losing day since before he was born. It said so right there.
Really?
Yeah.
You know, I've seen some of that stuff. I've seen things where they say they have guys who never have a losing day.
Guys, you got to be
Never
so sure. And I'm going to tell you the biggest thing. I know I'm interrupting Michael here. Let me let him finish,
okay.
and then I'll tell you.
That's okay. I'm at the end.
All right. Well, the biggest thing going around right now, you get the email, and they say, hey, you know, you got to have $25,000 in your account to trade stocks, but with futures you don't, and blah blah blah. We want to fund your account. We have rich people lined up around the corner who can't wait to hand over their money to you, fund your account so that you can be the next big name on Wall Street. Now, I wrote about this on the blog the other night. I mean, just as much as that sounds like the answer to your dreams, think about it. Okay, a wealthy person didn't get wealthy by being stupid, unless they inherited it. So they probably had to do something kind of smart or work really hard to get the money. So why would they hand that money over to a retail beginner when they could hand it to one of the, brightest on Wall Street, a professional with a track record, and have him make them money? Is it because they want to make America great again, and they want to start with you? Well, I mean, somebody did buy a lottery ticket last Friday night And on Saturday, they did win $250 million. So it is possible you could be hitting the lottery. But, I mean, if you really think about it, okay, it's almost like those advance fee loan scams where, oh, yeah, we'll get you, $1 million loan, but you need to give us 20 grand first. Well, okay, they're going to fund your account, but first you got to pay them to qualify you. Okay, go find somebody that got qualified. I would love to interview them on the show. Go ahead. I'm sorry I interrupted you.
Okay.
That thing just ticks me off so bad.
I know, and I know.
I've talked to people who have fell for it, and they feel really bad after they fall for it. So.
And yeah, I know we have partners that.
I know.
That yeah, and.
I know.
Okay. All right. So to the next step that I was going to say, we were up 5 here. We were up 35 on crude, 5 on the YM, 35 on crude, 1 on gold, 385 on the day. It took 71 minutes and 3 trades to get to 125 today. That's per contract. We took a total of 7 trades. On the month now, 1341 over 10 days, averaging 134 a day. And on the year, 17,476 over 111 days, averaging 157 per day. 157 per day. Okay, the next thing I was going to show you was how to get a free trial. All right, if you're using the website CFRN.net,
desktop computer,
and a desktop computer or a laptop, if you go into CFRN.net from a desktop, this little thing drops down up here. You can just do click here and click there, and then just fill this in.
Scroll down.
When you fill this in.
Scroll down.
Yeah,
show them the action.
Let's meet one-on-one, and look at this. Look at that. Isn't that pretty?
Wait for it. On the mobile version, you scroll down and you actually have to hit a play button to play the movie.
Yeah, I saw the play button down there.
It's all noisy. The helicopter.
But there it is. See that?
That's sweet. I mean,
that is pretty.
Even if you don't want to become a trader, you should do that. I mean, heck.
But you just got to fill this in, hit register now. You get a confirmation link sent to you. You got to click that confirmation link. If you are doing this from a mobile phone, you got to go to apply.cfrn.net. Apply.cfrn.net.
Yeah.
All right.
And by the way, the confirmation page is a little off center. I got to figure out how to fix that.
Okay. Well, it's there though.
It's there.
Apply.cfrn.net.
It's there. It just needs to be fixed.
Baby steps. All right. And with that.
Yeah, I mean, we've only been at this a little over a decade. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Well, we changed something though. When you make changes.
So, recap of the recap.
Today, 71 minutes, 3 trades, $125.
71 minutes, 3 trades. How many dollars?
$125.
I just called you Kimosabi. I can only imagine how many people I insulted because I was politically incorrect in some way. If you have 1/32 of Cherokee in you, I apologize. Okay.
Jada's got a whole bunch of Cherokee in her.
Yeah, well, tell her I'm sorry.
Her mother's half Cherokee, I think.
Oh my goodness. Tell her I'm really sorry. All right. So, okay, you probably want me to take the screens back.
Yes, you gotta pull it back out there to fabulous Phoenix, Arizona, overlooking the nation's largest city park. Did I get it right?
America's largest. You better hang on to that little scrap of paper you got.
It's over here.
Or just, you know what? Back to Studio A. You could, I mean, come on.
Back to Studio A.
Anybody can remember that, right? Right?
Back to Studio A. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So, there was something really important I was going to tell everybody. And, just back to the last rant. Guys, I know they make it sound so promising and so real and so, filled with opportunity. But if you think about it realistically, I mean, it just doesn't make sense. And I've talked to so many people They paid for the training, paid for the training, paid for the training, and then they can't get qualified. And I have talked to one person that got qualified for 1 month, but then on the second month, I think that person actually hit their quota, but it made the investors nervous, so they yanked that person's trading account. So, I mean, the way we do it by building with one contract, you know, and then you increase your account balance by $2,000, and then you add a second contract. See, you're self-financing. You're growing your business from the inside out, and you're adding additional contracts, not with investor money, but with your own money that you earned in the market. And if you don't think that makes a difference, well, I'm telling you, it does. And our program is designed to put a really solid foundation underneath you, and then you build your business one brick at a time. Does that guarantee you're going to be successful? No. To be successful, you need the trader's trifecta: patience, discipline, and a personal mentor. We can give you all the information, knowledge, and tools in the world, but we don't know what you're ultimately going to do with them. I talk to people all the time in mentoring sessions. They tell me what they're doing with our stuff, and I'm like, whoa, where did you come up with that? I don't know, it just looked good. And I'm like, well, I mean, I'm here to help you, but it's hard for me to help you with something I've never seen before. You know, if you've changed this and changed that, I know how to help you with what we teach, with what Michael has been teaching in the room every day for 5 years. I know how to help you with that. But the other stuff, I mean, God, gosh, I would have to study it and, you know, look at it historically, and probably in 5 years, you know, at least a couple years from now, I could give you some good advice. But, you know, how about we talk about what we teach every day? And you know what most people do when I say that? They say, you know what? That really makes sense. And it's not like I have to beat them over the head. I just explain to them that what we do in the live training room, it is rules-based training, and there is an absolute hardcore reason for everything we do. There's nothing willy-nilly. There's nothing indecisive. You never have to guess again. You're either going long or you're going short if the qualifications are met. And if you're going long or short, you know at exactly what price to the tick that you're supposed to go long or short. And you know exactly when to move your stop to break. I mean, it's just, if you can follow the rules and get really good at that, then you do have a shot at someday becoming a discretionary trader if that's what you want to become. But it's kind of like putting the horse before the cart. So I just encourage everyone who's a part of the room, you know, get the rules-based stuff down first. Then I'll help you. Once I know that you're consistent with the rules-based, if you want to show me your discretionary stuff, I'll be happy to try to help you with that. And so, by the way, we added a new session to the mentoring library on Friday, a really, really good one. The person in the mentoring session has been successfully trading options, swing trading options, he called it, for I think almost 20 years, but he wants to add futures to his toolbox now. And so listen to the quality of questions that he asks, and also how organized he is, and also the patience in his voice. There's no desperation. He's, you know, willing to wait. He's got discipline. He's got patience. He's got me and Mike. So that's it. He's got the full trader's trifecta. So I think he's going to be awesome. Now, I did want to show you guys something. I think I want to do it before Michael leaves, unless you got to leave like right this minute.
No, I'm still here. Go ahead.
And then I'll carry on with my normal day. Okay. On Sunday night, those of you that follow the Twitter feed, I sent out a couple of trades. I sent out an S&P trade, and I sent out a Crude trade. And I said, these are beta tests, and this is part of a beta test, so do with it what you will. I think if I use an hourly, everything will work just fine. So now let me shrink this up so we get back to Sunday night, which was the 11th. So I've gone a little far. Got a little carried away here. Okay, that should do the trick. Okay, so the market's opened June 11th, right there. Big green candle. Okay, now this is Crude. And so the twiddly-deedly-dee. Somebody today asked, what was our Twitter handle? That was so cute. I laughed. It's at CFRN, by the way. I'm sure it was somebody new. Anywho, if you've never been to Twitterland, I hear that all the time. Oh, I don't do Twitter. Okay, well, it's not a disease or anything. You don't need penicillin. So this is our page. You'll know you're in the right place when you see that mug and this logo. All right, and you scroll down to Sunday night, the 11th. Okay. All right. Swing batter. In the first, I had said new beta program, all trades taken at your own risk. So on the Crude trade, I said consider selling Crude at 44.90, target 43.40, stop loss 45.30. Trading is risky. You can lose all of your money and then some. And then I saw what the market was doing. I was in a much higher time frame. I mean, much higher. But I was using indicators, because our indicators work in all time frames, volume charts, everything. And I said, you know what, that thing's gonna pull back. So I came back and I said, part 2 of the Crude swing, if we can rally up to 46.50, consider selling the same target and use a stop loss of 46.90. And so the market did, in fact, pull back to 46.50, right? There we go. Okay, so price pull back, sell 46.50. And so, yes, on that I would have actually been using a limit order, but you wouldn't have to use a limit order. You could let it pull back to 46.50. You could wait for a down close, and then you could take care of business then. Our stop loss was up at, it was a 40-cent stop loss. It was up at 46.90, okay, which was right here, all right? So we did this, which was nice. Important prices, important areas are almost always tested. I know you've heard me say that 10,000 times over the last 10 years, but it's true, okay? And when you find something that really is true in trading, man, you better lash yourself to that thing or tie it to your leg or put it in your backpack. Do something, right? Because very few things in trading are that consistently reliable. I mean, there's a saying that all things work some of the time, nothing works all of the time. And we don't always pull back to test, but we pull back here to test, and we started to move down, and then we pull back to test again today, except I don't think we got over the trigger. Nope, we got to 46.49, okay? So my point is we've hit a low of 44.54. So basically that's $2,000 per contract, beginning Sunday night, and today's now Wednesday. I know a lot of you have a desire to be in these multi-day trades and take larger. That's why I'm doing this beta test. Now, our last beta test for the Concierge was a 3-year public beta. I'm not going to do 3 years again. 3 weeks, 3 months, we'll see. Now, our target on the trade, which we published, was 40. Target 43.40. 43. So we're at 40. Target 43.40. So you see, there's still a good ways to go. Now, if we drop basically another $2, so far we've dropped $2,000, right, Michael? Roughly.
Yes, that's what you said.
And from 44.70 to a target of 43.40, that would be another $1,000. So it would end up being a $3,000 trade. Now, inventories have come out, markets have sold off. They did rally up and touch the trigger again almost. So here we sit. You've been in this trade now. If you took the trade, or if you want to be a swing trader, see, that's the thing about swing trading. People want to be swing traders because it's bigger moves, more money. But you get in and you're feeling really good. You made about $1,000. Yeah, you've made exactly $1,000 right here, and then the whole thing evaporates. Then you almost make 1,000 again, and then it almost evaporates, and then bang. So developing the level of patience and discipline to deal with this, it's a lot different than what you have to deal with in the live training room. Okay, but it's something so many people want that I'm going to continue to endeavor to see what we can do for you. Okay, I just leave it at that. If you wanted to take your profits at this point, there'd be nothing wrong with that. If you wanted to move your stop right there to $45, you could do that. If you were using the Mark Douglas method, where you're trading multiple contracts, let's say you had 3 contracts, you could have paid yourself at some point along the way, and then you could have paid yourself again, and you might still be writing one contract with your stop in the original place, or you could be trailing it tightly, or you could be trailing it loosely. It's entirely up to you. Okay, real quick, I'll show you one more thing, and then Michael can go. He's got a very busy life. He's a very busy man. Yes, U7. Okay. Sunday night. On Sunday night on the S&P, the trade was, consider being long at 24.33. The target's 24.57. Stop loss 24.25. Okay. And so we cracked 24.33 right here. Important prices, important areas, almost always tested. And I know some people are thinking like, well, yeah, but that's, that's in that other thing. That doesn't really happen, in the big picture, does it? Everything that happens under the microscope also happens on the other side of the telescope. True story. We got evidence right here. So you get triggered in. We put the trade out on the 11th. You don't get triggered in until the 13th. And then here we are today, the 14th. You right back to square one. You even have a little bit of a drawdown. Now the market might actually move up to the target, and the target again was 24.57. And since today's a Wednesday, I'll tell you that we have a weekly trading zone at 56.57. Okay, so a needle pulling thread. Let me do this, and then we'll all wave goodbye to Michael. because he's a busy man and he's got places to go and things to do.
Why do you keep saying that?
I don't know. Well, just because.
Well, it's partly true, but
I know. Yeah. So, okay, we just used a little Fibonacci math, and 2457 sort of lies right in the middle of the 62% extension and the 100% extension. Okay. So you're back above break even. At one point, you had 10 ticks in the trade from 33 to 40, from 33 to 43. Back to break even, and now the least amount of risk typically will produce the greatest amount of profit, and so we'll see what happens. Okay, and if I can, I'm going to tweet out a couple more tonight, so make sure you follow at CFRN. Okay, and with that, Michael, you can go, my friend, if you need to, or
okay.
However you want to play it, brother. I just wanted you to see those two so that you can kind of, be eyeballing them, and you might call me and say, hey, Dwayne, I see something. Go look at the crude trade. I think maybe you should send out a message to pull up stakes, or, just want you to be on the same page with me. Okay?
Okay.
All
I
right.
appreciate it.
That's how we've been doing it for a decade plus, so let's keep it up. Seems to work. All right. The S&P 500 last night on the Concierge Trade Alerts, which came out late because the mail MailChimp thing that we use for the alerts, the editor was broken last night. So I had to cobble together something that looks a little like this. Now, for those of you that want to grab a screenshot, go ahead and do it. The thing on top of your go-to window that looks like a camera, it is. Click it and it'll save a screenshot to your desktop. Okay. Now, on the S&P 500, we did not trigger long or short. We were looking to be buyers at 45, sellers at 27. I knew that was a wide range, but I knew today was Fed Day and that we might go sideways into Fed Day. And, well, we actually rallied pretty good this morning. But now this looks like pre-Fed action right here. So, nothing to crow about there. On the Dow, let's see, what time did those things go out? They went out at 9:45, so that's 10 o'clock. So we have to use the 2200 candle. Okay, it's almost time for Wayne and John. Missed his window of opportunity. Okay, buy 21,300. All right, so we got a little action out of the Dow. 21,300. Okay, and we put in a swing high at 332. So that's 32 points on the Dow. Of course, we never get out at the swing high or the swing low because we trail our stop and or trade to a fixed target. Okay, and that's another thing that as a trader you will have to get used to. You get out with 32 points and then you come back later and look at the chart and see that it ran 332. If you feel anything but joy when you see that, then we probably need to have a session, because it's going to happen and you can't make yourself crazy in the head every time it does happen, because if you do, you'll be crazy in the head. All right, and there's already enough stuff about trading to make you crazy in the head. You don't need something else. So we're looking to be short or sellers at 212.40 if the opportunity presented itself, and it did not. These, of course, are last week's zones. Okay. Soybeans. Man, they've been quiet since that WASDE report, and that was the quietest WASDE report I've ever seen. This candle right here, Michael, that's the WASDE. I mean, usually
that one was the WASDE.
That was the WASDE.
Yeah, usually the WASDE is going to give you a huge move.
I know. I was waiting for it and expecting it, and so yesterday we had a nice 4.5 point move on the beans, But today, I'll be surprised if we have anything. Soybeans, we wanted to buy 937. Wow, that happened just enough to get you in trouble. Okay. But I can't wait. When do you know when we roll to November?
On the soybeans?
Yeah.
I don't know.
We'll have to ask Mr. Burt. Because November soybeans are the kindest beans of all. And
They are. They're the best.
we really do well with those every year. We just trade circles around the rest of the
Yes.
streets.
Wayne is in the house.
Wayne's in. Okay, I'll give him official introduction right now. So we had a 2-point move in the beans at $50 a point. And on the sell side, we were looking to sell 929. That never happened. So, okay. So we're going to talk to Wayne and Mr. Wayne Jett from classicalcapital.com. He's the author of the book, The Fruits of Graft, Great Depressions, Then and Now. And his website, right there. Cover of the book. And last but not least, the man himself, Mr. Wayne Jett. Welcome to the show.
Good morning.
How are you, sir?
I'm very well. Happy to be here with you. And it's an interesting time to be together and talking.
Yeah. I sent you an email late last night. I don't know if you got it or not, if you saw
I
it.
did. I had a chance to follow up on it somewhat in that I was able to listen to a short part of the introductory discussions.
Yeah, it's like there's
And-
an intro catching up, and then there's, I think, where we get into the political thing, and who were those guys in the Oval Office? Did you catch that part? Were they Afghan rebels?
No,
He took
I
me.
didn't get that
Okay,
far.
yeah, you'll want to listen to the whole thing because he had us look at some pictures, and the whole radicalization thing is like we bought and paid for it. I mean, he said some words came out of his mouth. I'm like, oh my goodness, Wayne's got to listen to this because they were raised by the same mother or something. I don't know. And then he went into his diet thing, which is he wrote a book. For everybody that didn't catch the show yesterday, just go to emini.cfrn.net and don't go there on a mobile browser. Just use a real computer, okay? And the Superman Diet, you can download this thing. It's 190 pages. You can get it for free. Now, we're not medical doctors, and so we're not recommending that, we're not diagnosing, we're not prescribing, or any of that kind of stuff. Here's the actual show from yesterday. So you can fast forward to the second hour. That's when Jeff came on, and he'll be back with us again next Monday or Tuesday. So I am glad, Wayne, that you got to hear a part. But if you didn't get to the part with Ronald Reagan and those rebels in the Oval Office, I think you're going to enjoy it. So welcome. Glad to have you with us.
I appreciate that. It sounds like a very interesting person. I was amazed at his comments about how many books and how many pages and so forth he had published. Really remarkable. And I am interested in hearing more. It was just a matter of a number of pressing things that I just couldn't get back to it. And I didn't get it until quite late.
Oh, yeah, I know it was very late when I figured you might see it this morning. The thing that surprised me the most about Jeff, we haven't seen each other in quite a number of years. And, he was a wealthy before 30 kind of guy, and he was a guy I wanted to be when I was 20. I was 21 at the time. And he had it all. I mean, the loft apartment and the girl and the company car, brand spanking new Corvette, and he handed in the keys and went intentionally homeless. Went walkabout and lived in the shelters and hung out at the library. To hear that story come from him, because much of my life, I mean, we're greatly influenced at the age of 20 and 21 by whoever we're surrounded by. And so if you have kids of that age, check out, who they're hanging out with, because some of it's going to rub off on them. And so my capitalism, a lot of it came from Jeff. And it was so interesting to find out that he actually walked away from it. But anyway, that was yesterday's show. Today is your show. So what topics are on your mind? What's got you worked up?
Well, it's quite an interesting and dangerous time. Dangerous. You hear this morning about the shooting at a baseball practice among the members of the Republican House and Senate, and some guy comes in with a gun.
A senator was shot, correct?
A congressman was.
Congressman, okay.
As I understand it. In any event, there were others as well, but apart from that, I've got some other matters I think of importance that relate to that, but it's just another indication. This is not a normal, ordinary time in the United States. It's certainly not the normal time that we've lived in my lifetime. So far as the threats and the instability of our government itself. Mm-hmm. And in some respects, the instability is a very good thing, in the sense, as I've said in our previous discussions, that we're looking at the prospect of actually overturning the so-called establishment. Establishment, as many other terms in common use are, is a very inappropriate name for the entity or the individuals or the cabal that is described by that word so often. They are not the pillars of the community. They are not the people who've earned their way or even inherited and received enough in the way of assets to become prominent, able to join the country clubs, that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. They are not the leadership in good standing of the communities. This is a small cabal of families. Family is too kind a word as well. It is an inbred, a small group of very power-hungry individuals who are entirely willing to use every type of cruelty and savagery to accomplish their purposes. And we're seeing more of it every day. There was, of course, a very interesting discussion, interrogation of our Attorney General yesterday in Washington, D.C. by members of the Senate Intelligence Committee. That would have been Attorney General Jeff Sessions, many years in the Senate himself. Before that, he was the U.S. Attorney in the Southern District of Alabama, I believe it was, out of Mobile. So he has law enforcement experience as a lawyer and as a very responsible and well-respected U.S. Attorney before being elected to the Senate. And it was quite a show of just how shallow a sense of integrity there is in the leadership of our federal government, in my opinion. Yeah. There was just the worst lack of character shown in the kinds of questioning the shallowness of wanting to get to the truth of matters. All of that sort of thing was clearly apparent, and quite clearly, in my terms, it was disgusting.
Is it a witch hunt? Is that a term you would give it?
Well, it is. I almost get into the position of calling it more like Pink Panther. I mean, this is completely ridiculous. Anybody with a clear eye and a serious mind applying themselves to this subject would throw them out of the building for making these kinds of ridiculous allegations with nothing whatsoever to go on, and yet this continues. And it continues because the same people who control these senators also own and control the major media. I'm speaking both print and electronic media.
Right.
They are complete tools to try to make this thing go on, and they are after the overthrow of our government. They appear to be willing to do any means necessary. And you can see that it's spilling over with the shooting this morning. Most likely another false flag. A false flag being something that it does not really appear to be. That he was, the shooter was most likely a tool or instrument sent by someone else for the purpose. But not that we are likely to see in the near term a revelation of that.
Right.
But it certainly fits with the other kinds of things that are going on. And my goodness, the display in Central Park of New York City of a play that winds up supposedly based on Julius Caesar, but winds up with the stabbing of our own elected president.
Right.
In a very gruesome, grisly scene that is absolutely outrageous.
I thought that kind of thing was illegal. I know we got freedom of speech and freedom of the press and all of that kind of stuff, but maybe it's my military background. When I was in the Navy, although I was a lowly seaman out at sea, my ultimate boss was the president. And, no matter what he did, you could never speak ill of him. If you did, you'd find yourself getting court-martialed. I mean,
well, that appears to be the standard and the rule when the president is owned by the establishment. If he is not, then he's open game, and as a matter of fact, everyone is invited to take a shot. And that appears to be where we are now. There are so many different straws in the wind in terms of what is going on. For example, we have the circumstance of the special prosecutor being appointed on one day's notice. In fact, no notice. We get the news that he was appointed in the same day in which he was, and that was the first we heard of it. And yet, when we hear the former director of the FBI, James Comey, being questioned last week, he answers a question, practically a volunteer answer, in such a way as to say, well, no, he actually had a direct question on this. Have you shared your memo relating to your conversation with the President of the United States, President Trump, relating to General Flynn and his request to you or his statement to you that he hopes you'll be able to let it go? Have you shared that with anyone else? And he responds to the shock of everyone there, I suppose, that, well, yes, he had shared it. He had actually leaked it to a friend who is a law professor at Columbia University, or at least he's in the law school, is what he said, and arranged for that friend to leak it to the press. That would have been the New York Times, I believe.
Right.
And he said, and I did that with the thought in mind that it would help us get an independent prosecutor appointed. And lo and behold, the next day, when it appeared in the paper, his leak was the day that the Deputy Attorney General appointed a special prosecutor. And guess who was appointed? A gentleman by the name of Robert Mueller, who was the former director of the FBI and one of the closest friends of James Comey. Friends, associates, whatever you want to call it, but cohort.
Well, I heard rumors yesterday just driving and listening to the radio. I was listening to the National People's Radio here in Phoenix. It's KJZZ, but supposedly there was a rumor floating yesterday afternoon that Trump was going to fire the special prosecutor. Did you hear that?
Well, I think there are rumors of all kinds, and I've heard it said that was the straw in the wind and so forth a day or two ago.
Does he have the legal right to do that?
Well, you can say that he is in charge of the Justice Department.
As president, he can pretty much do whatever he wants. I think Obama proved that.
Yes, but only if the press and the media and the Congress is in favor of what you're doing.
Yeah, only if you're Obama.
When they are, there's no problem. When they are not, then it's an impeachable offense, undoubtedly.
Yeah.
And of course, the special prosecutor is, in a sense, although they have said from the beginning that the president is not under suspicion or has never been under investigation at any point, even though he has been reported to have been under surveillance illegally before his campaign, during his campaign, and since his campaign, and since his win by the national security apparatus, and that his name has been unveiled to those doing the surveilling and circulated around in the intelligence community, all of which is illegal under the statutes of Congress. But so far we have no prosecutions. I would hope that we're having investigations of that, but there's been nothing to show for it so far. But we have this situation with Comey, having said that he leaked that in order to get a special prosecutor. That in and of itself ought to be grounds for the special prosecutor's appointment to be withdrawn, and particularly when you have a special prosecutor who is personally very close with the man who improperly and illegally instigated his appointment and has been directly involved in one obstruction of justice after another. What Comey's testimony said to me last week, in my interpretation, is that the evidence strongly indicates that he was not actually confused by the instruction he received from the Attorney General at the time, Loretta Lynch,
right,
that he should treat the investigation of the Hillary Clinton crimes of disclosing highly classified information, even special access programs, on a private computer that clearly permitted, and she actually did send those classified materials to unauthorized persons. Clearly crimes. The investigation should have concluded that serious federal crimes had been committed. They could have concluded that overnight. And yet for months and months and months, Director Comey and those working under his direction did the opposite. They concealed it.
Right.
And
right.
when she told him to start referring to it as a matter
not
rather
an
than an investigation,
Yeah.
that has a very important effect. It means when he's not regarding it as an investigation, he is not authorized to use a grand jury to bring witnesses and to elicit testimony and to prepare indictments. So he simply, instead of being confused and concerned, he simply was completely complicit with that obstruction of justice by the Attorney General, Loretta Lynch, and went right along with it. He was a co-conspirator in the obstruction of justice. This is not in my opinion, though I'm not a criminal lawyer, it is not a complex matter. It's simply one that is at the highest echelons of government power, and therefore people with great influence are involved. In my opinion, there was no chance that Attorney General Loretta Lynch, selected and appointed by Barack Obama, president at the time,
Right.
Issued that instruction to
And friend
Director
of Hillary
Comey,
Clinton.
Director Comey, without the approval and order of President Obama. It appears to me that is a straightforward conclusion to reach.
Right.
And yet all of this is confusion and leading to investigation of the new Attorney General on the basis that it's way suspicious that he attended a speech by Donald Trump at a time when a Russian ambassador or something of the sort was in the room, and therefore gave an opportunity for collusion between the Attorney General and the Russian ambassador. This is completely preposterous. They actually had one senator yesterday, Senator Tom Cotton of Arkansas, who actually pointed out that this is the most ridiculous scenario. It would never make it into a science fiction book, let alone an actual a mystery or intelligence operation book. And the response of Attorney General Sessions was that he says, in effect, I tell you, it's like through the looking glass. I can't believe that people are actually conducting themselves the way they are. And let me tell you, that included the people in the room yesterday doing the interrogating of the Attorney General. It was absolutely astonishing how far they will go. Primarily, I have to say, in the Democratic Party, the new senator, former Attorney General of the state of California, Kamala Harris, what a ridiculous display of absolutely antagonistic hostility, treating him, this is the sitting Attorney General, a former U.S. attorney, a far more distinguished career than Kamala Harris can come close to, and she's treating him as if he is a perp that is about to be taken out in handcuffs, in terms of hammering him with one question after another without giving him even a chance to answer.
Those chickens will come home to roost, you know.
Well, we'll see.
She better remember he's the Attorney General, and when all this is over, he'll still be the Attorney General. So,
well, we'll see where it goes from here. But in any event, that has been the state of affairs in our government. And yesterday, by the way, there was also an announcement by another distinguished legislator from California, one Brad Sherman, the congressman from the San Fernando Valley, that he had actually introduced a bill of impeachment against the president. I'm not sure exactly what his...
What in the heck has the guy done? I mean, they won't leave him alone long enough to get anything done. He doesn't have time to tweet much anymore.
Well, he's able to do that, but the problem is that they're trying to keep both the Congress and both houses
tied in knots,
busy on other things, so they can't get to the business of the country or to his agenda.
Right.
And they're doing that very well.
Yeah, they are. They are.
I just emailed you earlier before the show.
Okay.
I'm sure you haven't had a chance to see it.
I can peek at it right now.
No, you don't need to. I don't think.
Okay.
It is a link to an interview with 2 or 3 men in particular.
Robert David Steele and I'm just looking at the headline of the email.
And George Webb.
George Webb. Okay.
George Webb has been a person I'm not by any means well acquainted with his career, and not at all with him personally. But I know that he has involved himself in quite a degree of personal investigation into a number of matters, but primarily into the murder of Seth Rich, the communications technology expert,
right,
for the DNC, who was murdered a year ago in Washington, D.C. At 4:19 in the morning. He was shot twice in the back and wound up being pronounced dead sometime later in the morning. And with reports that there were law enforcement officers who came into the hospital, excluded any further medical attention to Seth Rich until the time that he was pronounced dead. And in other reported circumstances, as I've said before, it has been reported that Seth Rich, there's a great deal of evidence, proof in my mind, that Seth Rich was the source from within the DNC staff of the emails that were leaked to WikiLeaks, showing the emails of John Podesta, the campaign director for Hillary Clinton,
right,
and various kinds of fraud and other activities by the campaign, both in the primaries. At the time Seth Rich was murdered, it was actually in the latter stages of the primaries, and there's some indication that one of the emails found of Podesta was that when they find a leaker, they should make an example of him, even if they really don't have clear proof. They needed to put the fear out there so anybody else doing it would stop. In any event, in that kind of circumstance, that was the involvement of George Webb, but the interview is both of George Webb and Robert David Steele. Recall his name, Mr. Steele's name, has been brought up as having been a recent reviewer of my book, The Fruits of Graft,
right,
that we discussed a week or so ago.
Yeah, I published a link to that on the on our blog, so that
And
people can follow through on it.
I sent this interview to you this morning because it has a number of, I would have to say, blockbuster statements. To a certain extent, some of them I've heard before, but in terms of the clarity and the assertiveness made, they are made by Mr. Steele, and they are quite significant for the current circumstances that we've been discussing here, and where our country is and where we're going.
I want to ask you a question. It's kind of a little bit off topic here, and then I think I heard John there, and so we'll bring him in to the conversation. But you early on, hey John.
Hi.
Yeah, just
hello, Wayne. How are you doing?
Good morning, John.
Yeah. Let me ask you this one question, and then we'll get your opinion on what we've been talking about. You made a comment, Wayne, right after you came on, something about destabilizing the government or something.
Of course, yes.
Yeah. Now
no doubt about that.
I'm a man of a certain age, but I think you might have went to high school a couple years before I did. Not too much, but anyway, I
Probably quite a bit.
I barely remember the race riots when they happened here in the U.S. I grew up in a small town in Georgia. And so while they were burning L.A. and all the other places, what it came down to in the little town I lived in was all of the white men stood on one side of the railroad tracks, you know, with guns and pistols and rifles and pitchforks, and all of the men of color in our town, which it was probably about 50-50 in the town I grew up in. And my grandfather, who was the sheriff, stood in the middle of the railroad tracks with his .38 and said, the first one of you that moves across the tracks, it's the last time you cross these tracks. And he finally talked them down, and they went their separate ways. But what I'm curious about, I mean, I've seen, you know, movies and read books and whatnot about the riots themselves, but what was the shape of our government at the time when this was happening? And did whoever I don't know who the president even was at that time. Fuad just reminded me that Nixon fired his special prosecutor. But anyway, who was the president at the time of those race riots when America was in turmoil, buildings were being burnt?
1957. It was Dwight Eisenhower.
Okay, wait a minute. I wasn't born until '59, so now, so something happened around.
Well, you whippersnapper. I was.
Something happened around '69. It seems like I was about 10. I was 8, 9, 10 years old when my grandfather had to go and face this issue.
Well, what you're talking about then were the later times before school integration and that sort of thing.
Right. I was part of school integration. Me and 2 other white boys were bused to an all-black junior high school.
Would have been the assassination of Martin Luther King Jr.
Okay.
The assassination of Robert F. Kennedy.
Right.
The assassination, of course, that started it, of John F. Kennedy as president. And these are the same people, the same so-called establishment, the same hidden dark forces that murdered President Kennedy are the same ones that are after us now, and they have certainly strengthened their grip even more.
They must be pretty old by now.
But simply, well, not the same people, the same forces.
The same forces.
The same families.
I got you, yeah.
So
Lyndon Johnson was president right after Kennedy was assassinated, and then who took over after Lyndon? He wasn't there very long, was he?
Nixon.
Nixon, okay.
But let me go back a little earlier to what I was thinking when school integration took place in 1957 under President Eisenhower.
Mm-hmm.
Let me tell you a different experience, and I related this recently in another context, and not on your show, I think, but I actually communicated it to Cynthia McKinney, the former Congresswoman, Dr. McKinney. She's now earned her PhD, and she is in a close she is in a colleague of Robert Davis Steele. They are jointly trying to, they have put together a coalition from both their points of view to unite the parts of the electorate that have not really been participating in the electorate, the non-voters, along with the minority parties, to have electoral reform and to allow a full democracy, that to include those who are so outraged by the corruption in our government that they refuse to vote. They're also usually the ones that are financially worse off in our society, and so they're often referred to by derogatory terms. But they are people who recognize that they are being screwed over by our government, by the establishment, and they don't want to have any part in authorizing it or acting as if they have confidence in the people who are running our government. Now, Cynthia McKinney, recently I heard her interviewed. She was a very interesting person when she was elected to Congress from, I believe it was Georgia. Mm-hmm. And an able person, not one just to shout and use political type terms to inflame and that sort of thing, but seemed to me a more thinking person, a black woman. She recently was interviewed, and she said she was relating a recent experience. She said she had made her first visit on this political discussion. She made her first visit in her life. She had never been to Oklahoma before. As you know, Oklahoma is where I grew up. Mm-hmm. She said, I was going there to discuss the present political circumstances and our hope to get more participation by the electorate. But I was going to a town. I'd never been there. I've never been in Oklahoma before. I expected that there would be people both from the left and the right, from the black and the white, and so forth and so on. And you don't know what rumors to believe about the small towns and smaller cities and that sort of thing. And she said, I had no idea what I was going to expect there or confront there, or what the dangers might be. Mm-hmm. She said, I got there and we started, I started making my comments and inviting the comments by those in the audience. And there were members of the black community there and white. And she said, immediately as the black people started voicing their views and their concerns, and she said there was participation from both sides. There was an almost immediate identification with each other. That far from being hostile and even violent, they were reasoned. And I told her that when I communicated with Cynthia McKinney, Dr. McKinney, that that was the experience I had.
John, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, okay.
The town that I grew up in was a small town, less than 2,000,
Okay.
and we integrated when I was a freshman in high school, 1957, and we did so without any violence, without any hostility.
Oh gosh, I got my butt kicked every day.
The experience that I had was that our little town had made a practice over earlier years of inviting black teams, including the black school in our town, to have their basketball teams play in our tournaments over at the high school gymnasium.
It's very unusual.
And it was a very good thing to do. It was important to me because I got to see those games and could understand what was going on. It was very exciting to see them. They were very good players,
Right.
and good sports, and the whole crowd would enthusiastically applaud them.
Wow, you come from a community, a small town community, very different from the one I grew up in. It was tough. I'm telling you, there were me and two other white guys got bused across town to an all-black junior high school, and they let us know up front that we were not welcome. They did not want us there.
My.
And the most popular TV show on at the time was Kung Fu. So everybody was flying through the air and kicking and punching, and we were the targets. I mean, my goodness, it was bad.
That's brutal.
John, I wanted to get your take on how Jeff Sessions was treated yesterday. Wayne went into some detail about how horrified he was at the way this man was treated. What do you think?
Oh, it's sickening. I mean, horrified is, we're like peas in a pod. I was absolutely, the aggression. I felt like screaming at them and saying, "What are you, attack dogs? You're just dogs. You're not worthy of anything. They're not even worthy of being in that chamber." I mean, it's an absolute outrage and a disgrace the way that they treated Jeff Sessions yesterday. And I didn't catch what you were saying earlier on, but as you said, he's still going to be the attorney. I wouldn't want to cross this guy. He might come back and bite you.
He's mild-mannered, but I think he's got a bite. Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, he's a mild-mannered guy, but he's a very resolute guy, and I think that some of these guys are going to end up on the wrong side of
I would add to that, John. I think he's a man of great principle. He would not go after anybody just because of personal animosity. But
maybe not. No, I think you're right there. But look, if there's a legitimate reason to go after people, then I think he's going to throw the book at them. And he is a quietly tough kind of guy. I mean, listen, he's getting rid of these MS-13s and all these horrible people that are hanging around. But they really have to, they've got to drain the swamp right now.
What is the job? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, look, it's interesting. I don't know whether you caught the Putin interview yesterday, but
no, I missed it.
It was quite revealing. But I was actually looking at Jim Rogers this morning. He has a piece. I think this. He's got a new piece saying that the next downturn will be diabolical, and he's probably right. But I think that they're doing everything in their power to avoid the next downturn right now. When my masterpiece comes out, probably this weekend, my massive gold report, it's going to reveal a lot of things that are really, I think is going to that's going to illuminate people. There's going to be a real light bulb event for them when they see the overwhelming evidence that I'm putting together. That just absolutely, virtually guarantee massively higher gold prices at some point in the not too distant future. I really believe we're going to triple in gold, between now and maybe 2020, or definitely 2023, and possibly we could go as high as eightfold.
Now, Wayne,
And,
since you wrote your essay on about Bitcoin, and part of the title was "Gold is the Only Real Money," since you wrote that, Bitcoin has more than doubled. Has that in any way affected your opinion of what you wrote?
No, it actually illustrates the point I was trying to make. What I said was not real money, but that gold is the only good money.
Yeah, that's
and good has a special meaning there.
Okay.
What it means is your money unit has to be stable in value. That is the absolutely essential part. You notice that the Bitcoin, although it's referred to as cryptocurrency, currency,
right?
It has to be measured in dollars in terms of its value.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's exchanges that have sprung up that can tell you at any minute, what the value of the Bitcoin is, and people can trade it.
Under the circumstances that we have now with Bitcoin, who in their right minds would price their goods or services in Bitcoin?
Yeah, you got a good point. It's kind of thrown this whole thing for a loop. And one of the reasons why Bitcoin has gone up is because of these ransom things where people have been trying to buy Bitcoin to get their data back. But not only that, there are people, much wider audience, are buying Bitcoin in anticipation of getting a ransomware. That's what's really caused the incredible eruption in prices of both Bitcoin and Ethereum. Listen, can I just come in with a market update here? There's a market alert.
Yeah.
We just look. We've had a very volatile day in the metals today.
Sure.
Yeah, we actually went out last night and said buy gold with both hands. I mean, maximum position, maximum leverage. I didn't know what was going to happen today, obviously, but I just had a very good buy signal on the gold. And as you know, we were up substantially higher. We also said yesterday, I think we said it on the show, that platinum looked like the bottom was in, and it came down for a retest last night, and it's absolutely exploded to the upside today. I think that is an incredibly positive development for gold, because it's one of the things that's been dragging the gold down that now appears to have been reversed. And we sold the gains, the early gains on the gold, and we just bought this pullback, literally while I was on with you a short while ago. We went back long the metals, and we went back long the nugget and the J nug and all the golds, and they are breaking out to the upside. And the fact that they're rallying into the Fed kind of tells me that maybe they're going to keep going. Obviously, you can't tell how these metals are going to react, but the fact that they're buying it into the Fed, maybe somebody leaked, the
odds
Fed
are
thing ahead of time.
91% that they're going to raise, even though inflation is headed away from the 2% target, not towards.
No, I don't think they're going to. I don't think they're going to do. I think that look.
I'm going to tell you what. If you make this call, we got about 10 minutes to go. If you say she's not going to raise, the odds makers have got 91% odds that she is going to raise. We'll put a special something on the wall for you, because that's a heck of a call.
Well, look. The thing is this: for the GDP is mediocre at the moment. The jobs number was a big shocker. I mean, I can't see them raising rates in the face of that job shocker. They don't want to look. The Fed, believe it or not, they're trying. Look, we got the Feds all over the world pushing the envelope, and this Fed doesn't want to, kill the golden goose just yet. I don't think. My personal read of the market is, look, I said it on this show, we're on our way to 22,000. We're 22,360, right, 345 right now. We only got 650 points to go. And what's the impetus? What's going to be the impetus that's going to drive us higher? If they don't raise rates, it seems to me that's an excuse for the hedge funds to just buy the heck out of the market. And you know what? If they do raise rates, they could probably do the same thing. It's kind of a win-win. Either way, it's a win-win deal. And if they raise rates for the metals, it's potentially a win-win, because as we said on this show back in December, the second rate hike is the buy signal on gold. And if they keep raising rates, it's more bullish for gold. So But on the other hand, if they don't raise rates, it's kind of bullish for gold right now. Look at the dollar. The dollar is tanking. So, it's kind of, it seems to me maybe gold goes up no matter what. And maybe and remember, we're in that time frame where both gold and the markets go up together during this particular cycle. When the Fed starts raising rates, gold and the markets go up together. If you don't believe me, go back and look at 2005 to 2007. Gold and the markets were in sync for two years, and they were very, very, gold basically doubled, actually almost tripled off that bottom. So,
okay. Now,
if I might comment about that,
sure. Come go right ahead.
I think the movement seen in gold so far. I mean, today what I'm showing is up something like $9.50 an ounce. I mean, that's, to me, it's really no movement at all. What needs to happen, for example, is
you're right. In the grand scheme
a regulation
of things,
that says
you're right.
No futures can be sold for delivery of gold, in which the party agreeing to provide the gold at the price actually has the gold in hand to deliver and must deliver. You cannot do it on the basis of cash settlement. Our prices are being set entirely based on the futures markets, and those markets are not markets at all. They're simply frauds. They manipulate the price, both overall and also month to month, so that they have the least payout of return to the other party as possible, and they're simply the mechanism that is used to manipulate, to control the price of precious metals to false levels, making the dollar look like it's more valuable. And so there are ways that the president could attack that. At this point, I think there needs to be additional. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Silver's up 2.5% today. Go ahead, keep going.
Yes, I think that the timing of the crash of the markets is such that the president may not be ready yet to have things fall apart. I don't really think at all they're within his control, but they are certainly within the control of the establishment, the big banks, the Treasury Department, regardless of the fact that President Trump appointed the Treasury Secretary. It's not at all clear in my mind that the Treasury Secretary is going to follow the instructions of the president or follow his policies. We'll see how that comes out. Maybe he will. But in any event,
I'm curious, since Janet Yellen took over as the Fed, I wonder if she's gone downstairs, under the New York Fed Bank and actually looked in any of those vaults to see if there's anything in them other than cobwebs.
I don't think she would want to know. And I don't believe she's the one at all in charge. It's pretty widely known that her assistant, Fisher, who came over from Israel, is really the one running the Fed. But
really,
even he is following orders and following the normal protocol of just making things look good. But there are things going on in the Fed that are completely at odds with any understanding at all that the public has of what the Fed supposedly is all about, and how much money it has actually created.
Well, when Ben Bernanke took over, as the Fed, he came out. That's why I called him earlier in the show, Helicopter Ben. He said, I will turn this economy around no matter what it takes. If I have to fly over America in a helicopter throwing out $100 bills, I'll do it. Now, if he had actually done that, it might have helped the little guy, the small businessman. But what he did was he bailed out, the too big to fail. And then he incentivized the banks not to lend money, but to sit on it. Because if they just sat on it overnight, they made that overnight interest rate. And there was no risk involved with that. But if some guy came in with a great idea to open a business and create jobs, wow, that's risky. We better not do that.
You put your finger on another, common practice of the Fed. That is, they engage in propaganda and deception. No, he did not intend to fly over and dump it from helicopters. And of course, it wouldn't have done any good. It would have been quite detrimental to do that. But he did the opposite. That is, he shut off any flow of credit to the Main Street economy, and he put all of the flow of credit secretly through the big banks that make their billions and billions in profits by using the secret transmissions of dollars to them from the Fed to go over and buy Japanese bonds and create a what's called a carry trade by basically just investing in one bond and the other. They're able to make 2 to 3% on their money at essentially no risk, because they know the thing is going to be continued until they're ready to do something different. But in any event, they say what they say, and this little charade we're going through about raising interest rates, others have said that it's not going to happen, because when they do that, it makes the trillions of dollars in interest rate derivatives that the big banks have created very unstable, and those derivatives will destroy the economy and the banks when they come tumbling down. So
we got 1 minute to the announcement, and then at 2:30 Eastern, she is going to hold a news conference. Whether she will just read a prepared statement or answer questions, I don't know. So guys, typically with a Fed announcement, 15 minutes after the announcement, 30 minutes, you can go back into the market, things settle down. But since she's holding this news conference, then the volatility, you're going to need to stay flat until she finishes the news conference. Because, you might get it right, but if there is any volatility spikes, you could be long, you could be short, and get stopped out, in both directions. So it's just better to climb up into the bleachers, get some popcorn, and watch the action. And when it gets quiet on the field, then, all right, here we go. Let's see what they say.
The Federal Reserve raises interest rates by 1/4 point.
They raised
to a new
them.
target range of 1 to 1.25%. The Fed still believes gradual increases in rates will be warranted. Neil Kashkari, Minneapolis Fed President, dissented. The Fed also announced detailed plans for how it will unwind the balance sheet. The Fed says the balance sheet will begin to be unwound this year, provided the economy evolves as expected. 12 of 16 members see 3 rate hikes this year, as in 1 more additional this year. 12 of 16
She did it. She took America back over 1% for the first time in, God, how many years, John? A decade?
Well, since John may not be available,
I'll take your
let me just guess that the prices of silver and gold will be crushed once again with monstrous selling of futures.
Let's see.
Contracts.
Boy, we just spiked all the way up to 1284 on that news. We ran up, I don't know what, about $8, but now, okay, we got a knee-jerk reaction to the upside. We went from 1276 to 1284, and now we're pulling back. Now, one of our team members has a theory. It didn't play out in the last Fed announcement, but his theory is the direction of the impulse knee-jerk reaction is ultimately the direction that the market will go when things calm down. So we ran up, but now we're pulling back. We're all the way down to 1275 on gold. Now let's take a look at bonds and see what happened there. S&P dropping. Bonds are relatively quiet, but it looks like they're preparing to head lower. Let's see what else. Crude oil. Well, crude sold off heavy today, and it's still violently sideways, so not much change there at the moment. Okay, bonds still just spiking around a little bit. S&P starting to look like it wants to rally. And let's take one last peek at gold. Gold seems to have found support at that 1275 level. Now this is the point where Mike Reed's theory would come into play, in that we would, from this point, we had the knee jerk up and then the retracement, and now we should steadily move higher throughout the afternoon. Now he's been trading for 36 years, so when it's for that, like that old E.F. Hutton commercial, when Mike Reed talks, I listen. So and then, you know, when the dust really settles, most of the time you end up right back where you were before the whole circus happened. So now, are you surprised, Wayne, or not surprised that they did raise a quarter point?
I don't know that it's going to mean a whole lot, even though they say they're doing it. What actually happens in their trading and in the markets is not always the same. For example, when they raised the first quarter point, it really didn't happen. If anything, it got maybe a half of that.
Yeah.
And we'll see what happens here. But they'll try to keep holding it together. And in that process, they will continue to pound the price of gold and silver, particularly with the dumps of futures contracts that far, far exceed any prospect that they would actually be able to deliver the metal.
Well, the futures contracts don't tick me off nearly as bad as the ETFs. Those, the GLD and the SLV, those are just crimes against humanity. They trick people into thinking they own gold and silver, and they don't. You know, they have a piece of paper that represents the price of gold. That's all. That's like handing me a picture of a brand new Tesla and saying, "Hey, man, you own a Tesla. No, you can't put it in your garage. No, you can't drive it. But you can sure put this picture up on the wall because you own it." You know, that's just stupid. If you can't touch it, you don't own it. So.
Well, the thing that I pay attention to is what is the basis upon which the so-called market price is set.
Isn't it the London gold fix every afternoon? Isn't that really where they...
it is based on the futures, the price that the futures contracts assign to the metal.
Okay.
It is not based on what is actually out there in the market,
so
or how much is available.
The gold fix, is that the spot price? Are they fixing the spot price of gold?
That's my understanding.
The
yes.
London gold fix. You know, I should study up on it and learn a little more. John, are you still there? He's probably running around buying and selling.
But I believe the fact is that for buyers who buy in large quantities of gold or silver, that the prices are in the market, if you actually want to buy substantial amounts, that they're higher than what is quoted.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if you go to buy, an ounce of silver at the coin shop, or as my friend bought many ounces of silver, you pay quite a premium above what the spot price is. And when you sell it back to him, he pays a premium, which is about half of what you paid him to buy it. So, yep, gold is definitely falling. We're down to 1274. We've now got a 50% retracement.
1272.50 bid and the 1273.50 asked. So we'll see, but the fix is still in. Yeah. There's a reason they call it the fix.
I know. I was so surprised the first time I heard that. From the low of today to the high of today, we just touched the 62% Fibonacci retracement. So let's see what this has done to the S&P. S&P rallying. S&P up to 2439. Frederick, I may have given you bad advice, but it's the same advice I always give everyone. One of the members of our audience and also a CFRN partner was long the Dow, and he said, should I be flat ahead of the Fed? And that's just what we teach and preach, is to always be flat ahead of any major economic event, because it's like gambling. I figured that out when I first started trading futures. I couldn't wait to trade the Fed, and some days I won and some days I lost. And when I realized that I was either winning or losing, I realized, well, wait a minute, those are gambling terms. I don't want to be a gambler. I want to take high probability trade setups. Well, there is no such thing when you're having a Fed announcement. There is no high probability, because there just isn't. It's gambling. So anyway, anything else you want to cover or talk about today?
I think that I'll let you go. We're already past the time.
Okay.
There are certainly other things, including what is included in that email that I sent you this morning that we've not spoken about. But we'll see where it goes from here.
Do you know the name Jason Hummel? Does that ring any bells with you?
No.
Okay. Reason I ask, he was on the show Friday, and he'll be back again this Friday. But Mark Faber quoted once that when it came to silver, that Jason was one of the smartest three guys in the room, along with Ted Butler and some other guy that I didn't know his name. Jason told us his story on Friday from multimillionaire status to the Betty Ford Clinic, and his recovery from that over the last few years. And so I don't know if you have interests in alternative health, but much like my guest yesterday is very much into health. Jason, in his path to recovery, very open. I quoted on the blog that Faber may have called him one of the smartest guys in the room, but I believe he's one of the most courageous guys, because he just came, he just told the story of everything that happened. And so you might find, you might Google him up. His website is, he doesn't write there anymore because of what he's going through, but silverstockreport.com. And he used to write a lot for Kitco. And if you start looking around in the world of silver, you'll see his name pop up everywhere. But he's a good guy. He's been through a lot.
Jason, what was it?
Hommel.
All right.
So on the YouTube channel and also on the blog, you can find him on Friday's show, and not last week, but I'm so behind. But I think 2 weeks ago, the show you and I did, it was a really good show. I forget what the topic was, but I finally got that up to iTunes last night, and I saw this morning. Sometimes it takes them a while to get it posted. Let me just type in Wayne Jett iTunes and see if you pop up. Yep, Christian Financial Radio Network by Dwayne. CFRN Emini Radio with co-host and author Wayne Jett. But I wonder if that's... So if you Google your name in iTunes, it's the top thing that comes back. And if you click that, you'll be able to... It seems like it was the show we did on the 28th. And I don't... Because it's so labor intensive to put something in iTunes as opposed to putting it on the blog or putting it on YouTube. But when I would do a really good show, and like Jason's, I want to get his up to iTunes, and the one I did yesterday with Jeff, I want to get that one up to iTunes. So I don't know if you're an iTunes person or a podcast person, but anyway,
I'll give it a look. See,
yeah,
thank you.
You come up quite a bit. I guess I've sent other. Steve Kuda, Wayne Jett among 4 considering running for McHenry. Is that you?
I don't believe that is.
That's not you. Okay.
I'm not running for.
Okay. Emini Futures Radio with co-host Wayne Jett. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was the. Well, you'll see it. You'll Google it. You'll find it. And.
All right.
And I look forward to talking to you next Wednesday. You know what? I don't know what your schedule is like Monday or Tuesday, but I'll be. It'll be on the blog what day Jeff's going to be back on. Once you listen to him, if you would like to have conversation with him, then I'll try to work it out on Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, whichever day both of you guys are free. I think you guys would have one heck of a conversation. I could probably go to Walmart while you and him talk and come back and close out the show. So have a listen. Have a listen to his show, and then shoot me an email. All right?
Let me just add one more point.
Okay.
There is a thing of I think, great concern, and that is this special prosecutor that has been appointed to look into the so-called Russian connection. It keeps changing wherever they think their sniffers are sending to. Supposedly it was going to check into Russian interference in the election. Mm-hmm. Now I don't know what the life of the thing is going into, but what concerns me is that, number one, the reports that Robert Mueller, the man who's appointed one day last week as the new special prosecutor. We know, of course, that was done as a result of the illegal leak done by James Comey.
Yeah, he just came right out and spilled the beans. Yeah, I leaked it on purpose. Yeah.
But now the report is that the people that Mueller is putting on his staff, not only is Mueller himself very closely associated in friendship and other respects with Comey, but that he is hiring Hillary Clinton supporters in his staff.
Oh, my God.
And it gets worse. I mean, you have to look at his background, Robert Mueller's background. He was appointed as a director of the FBI within a week before 9/11 happened.
Huh.
Therefore, he was our chief law enforcement investigator at the time of 9/11. And it is certainly alleged that he was very much involved in the cover-up of what actually went down that day, and who was involved and so forth. And in those circumstances, this puts us into another dangerous situation, in which a person who has his own very sordid background that needs to cover it has a great deal of incentive to do what is necessary to make sure it's not uncovered. So those are the kinds of things that we'll leave to talk about another day, but it is certainly a matter of great concern on a daily basis now.
There's an article, Wayne, at wired.com, wired.com. Robert Mueller chooses his investigatory dream team. He's bringing on some, it looks like a kid, Aaron Zebley, is a name that underscores just how far-reaching and dogged and potentially long this probe will likely be. I'm not familiar with either one of them, but I'm sure I will become familiar with them in the coming days.
Well, checked out their history of their ties with Hillary Clinton and that criminal cabal, and I think you'll find out where their allegiances lie. So we'll leave it at that, and we'll talk another time.
All right, my friend.
And wish you very well. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, shoot me an email sometime, maybe over the weekend, whenever you have a chance to listen to yesterday's show. And then once we get up to the health part, I think we don't talk politics anymore. So after you'll get the gist of it. And
all right.
I'll talk to you soon. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Goodbye.
Have a great day. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Mr. Wayne Jett from classicalcapital.com. His book is The Fruits of Graft, Great Depressions Then and Now. You can pick up a copy at amazon.com or right from Wayne's website, classicalcapital.com. And on his website, you'll also find a lot of essays he's written. The one I mentioned during the show about Bitcoin, and I forget the official title, but it said something about Bitcoin and gold is the only good money. So, not real money, good money. So, you can go there and check out. Before he became an author, he was an attorney, and he's practiced before the Supreme Court. So, he's a guy that knows a thing or two about a thing or two. So, putting him and Jeff together on the show, oh my goodness, that would be interesting. It really would. Because I know they'd agree on a lot, but at some point they would be bound to find something they didn't agree on. So, but that makes for great radio. Now, while we were talking, I did go through and mark up most of the charts, but as a common courtesy, I'll run through them real quick. On the ES, we were looking to be buyers at 24.45, which we haven't touched yet. We were looking to be sellers at 24.27, so there was no trigger on the ES. On the Dow, we were looking to be buyers at 21,300. This first move gave us 32 points. Important prices, important areas, almost always tested, and of course these are last week's zones. And it looks like we did another 32, 33 points, 34. But again, on Fed announcements, we always recommend being flat. And because she's doing a news conference in 10 minutes, there could be more volatility from the news conference if she's fielding questions than from the actual Fed announcement itself. Now, that might look like a big move to you, but back when we actually had interest rates, and they could go up a quarter point, a half a point, or, whatever Greenspan wanted to do. I mean, and even when Ben first took over, man, you could see the S&P move 30, 40 points in one direction and then 30, 40 points in the other direction. It was wild, but this is so tame. In fact, if I just walked in and looked at this chart and didn't know what day it was, I wouldn't even venture that, it must have been Fed day. I mean, back in the day, you knew it was Fed day. On soybeans, we managed to eke out 2 points to the upside at $50 a point. The sell side on soybeans was $9.29, which we haven't touched. Bonds, last night's alert said to consider buying 154.09. We ran up 28 ticks at 31.25 per tick. That's $875 per contract available. So didn't quite make the gee whiz. We don't get out at the swing higher, swing low. Other words, as this thing starts to pull back. Now we do have a rule of thumb that says once you hit the gee whiz, $1,000 for the day on one instrument. Take the money, put the mouse away. We didn't quite make it to the rule of thumb. But if you were using your CFRN indicators to help you trail your stop, John, you still there?
Yeah, I just wanted to come on real quick.
Sure.
Because since the Fed came out, look, here's the way I see it. Sometimes you can get they set a trap where the market goes the wrong way for a short while.
Right.
I actually starting to get a buy signal on the metals right now, and on the on the JNUG and the NUGs and stuff, and I'm getting a sell signal on the dust and the J dust. Even though we've been long from the dip earlier on today, we've actually pulled off a pretty good trade. But here's the important thing. This is what the audience needs to understand. If we start seeing the gold reversed upwards and then we start seeing it push to new highs, you have an incredibly powerful reason for gold to not just, the rate increase is a long-term wind behind gold's back now. I know it's hard to understand that, but that's the way the world works. And in my view, this is if this gold starts going higher, today's action is good for the next 6 weeks until the next Fed, or maybe 3 months, where potentially, this thing could push up to 1350 or even higher, maybe even 1400. So this is a very, very important day, and I would use, look, it's gonna trade around, but sometimes, in the night you get maybe an opportunity around 9 or 10 tonight, and then sometime in the early morning you might get another dip. But if we start
at 3 a.m. tomorrow morning, London traders will have their first opportunity to react to what just happened here. And this next 30 minutes,
see them reacting positive if the gold goes higher. Look, the other thing is the platinum has really come to life here in a way that has been very lacking for some time. It's up $20 off the lows of last night, and even more than that actually, and that's a pretty big deal. And the platinum, look, really you can't have a gold bull market without platinum being on board. It's just the way the world works. So if we start seeing platinum really motor higher now, get back up over 1,000, I think it just seals the deal on a really big gold bull market. So and look, think of where we are today. This is 14th of June, Trump's birthday, the Flag Day. The bottom could be today. The bottom, the low of the gold, or the second, a low of the gold could come in right here in the middle of June. I'm a great believer in mid-month bottoms, which is kind of what's happening. We come down over the last few weeks in gold. We have a mid-month bottom, and we end up finishing the month at a higher level, perhaps towards 1290 or even higher by the end of June, and go into July. Then we're into all these favorable things with gold that are likely to impact us over the next few months. It's kind of fitting together. It's all coming together quite nicely. So
from today's low to today's high, John, we're right at the 62% retracement. We've spiked below it, but 1273.5 is the 62. So it's trying to hold there.
And look, the other thing is, Yeah, and the other thing is when Yellen starts talking, when she does one of these talk shows.
This next 30 minutes is going to be could be
that-
more
that
volatile
can-
than the actual announcement.
That can extend the volatility,
Yeah.
and ultimately it can, by
Change
the end of the day,
Mm-hmm.
it can determine the direction. So we're not out of the woods yet.
Yeah,
but,
I recommend
but,
everyone
I don't-
stay flat till this news conference is over.
Yeah, and the silver, which has come a little bit stronger in the last few days, now back over 17, is not yielding much at all. And I
We're
think
up
that's
over 2% today in silver.
Right, exactly. So we're kind of holding our gains. The market's coming back a little bit here. There is a risk if you look at the technicals on the Nasdaq, for example. It kind of looks like the market wants to make another test to the downside before it gets the energy to go really strongly higher again. I'm not saying that's for sure, but even if it's a little test, we need some sort of. We're getting a little test going on right now today, off the highs, if you like. So look, the TNA and the mid cap are not acting so great today either, which is something to be careful of. So
3 minutes to Yellen.
Going on, yeah. And now the metals are edging lower. Look at the dust and the J dust; they're really holding up very, very well here for a pretty good trade today, actually. So that's the way I see it. The other feature of the day is the oil. We really got lucky. We got just real lucky in the oil. I can't believe it. I mean, oil is often a very hard thing to trade, and we've been able to almost pick the highs and lows with regularity over the last couple of weeks. And we took a shot at the long side from last night, and the markets rallied. We went short. We sold and went short this morning, and right now we're hitting the lows of the day, which is amazing because the oil is really plunging, and the inventories are actually down on the oil. So there's obviously this increase in rig counts, and the production is spooking the markets in a pretty big way. And since we're down to 44 now, we're sort of, there's a really good chance that we're going to hit the low 40s before any kind of an upturn on the oil. So, that's not necessarily bad for the economy, but in the markets, but it might actually drag the market down to some extent too, because the oil stocks are getting, most of the oil stocks are on their lows of the last 6 months now.
I put the good stuff in the Town and Country the other night, and it was $2.58 a gallon.
Yeah. No, gasoline prices are pretty reasonable at the moment. Most
well, if I'd have put the, just the regular unleaded, it would have been $2.28, I think.
Yeah.
Ed will be with us tomorrow. You know Ed, the used to trade.
Oh yeah, I
Crude.
know. That'll be interesting talking to him.
He'll be here tomorrow.
I think
so.
he and I have both been on the same page.
Yeah, no, you are. He'll be on probably about 1. So if you want to pop in at quarter till, and then stick around once he comes on, and you and him can chat a little bit.
Yeah. Okay, doke. Well, listen. Thanks for the second look, and we'll catch up with you tomorrow. Thanks, Wayne.
All right, John. Thank you. Have a great day.
All the best. Bye.
Okay.
You too. Okay.
Well, guys, we've walked through the markets a couple times, so you've seen. Now, again, for anybody that didn't get the screenshot earlier, I know this looks different from what you normally see, but that's because the editor on MailChimp was down last night, and so I had to work my way. I had to do a workaround. The send function and all of that was working. I just couldn't edit my template. So if you want a screenshot, grab it. Remember, you can take this trial 1 week, 5 nights, 5 trading nights for $1. It doesn't automatically roll over into a subscription, but it gives you an opportunity to see the numbers, to see if it's something that you might not even trade them as Concierge Trade Alerts. You might use them as a backdrop to your trading, the same way some people use the weekly trading zones as a backdrop. to their trading. Or you can trade them as they were originally intended to be traded. But make sure you use that link at emini.cfrn.net. Okay, it's very important because that link will not, if you find some old link in an article, that rolls you over. Okay, you want to go to the one, it clearly says, go straight to the $1 trial, no automatic rollover. It's where the baseball player is at emini.cfrn.net. Okay? If you have any questions, just email me and I'll set you straight. All right? All right. Okay. I don't think there was anything else incredibly. David, did you get your. Oh, he's gone. David W., did you get your copy of the book at Amazon? I can't tell if you're there or not. Anyway. Okay, Uber CEO is taking a leave of absence. Marissa Mayer left Yahoo with $23 million in her purse, plus all the money she made while she was there, plus all the goodwill she bought from her friends by buying up their startups. CEO Tim Cook has confirmed Apple is working on a self-driving car. It is the mother of all AI projects. A real Pokemon game is coming to the Nintendo Switch. Goldman Sachs thinks Bitcoin is looking heavy. The digital currency is super hyped and is up 180% this year. Traders are shorting the heck out of Apple. The company is becoming a lightning rod for short sellers. I've been saying it for a long time, guys. If Apple doesn't innovate, I mean, they've been a one-trick pony for, well, two tricks. They got the iPhone and the iPad. The iWatch, that's like a non-starter. They're a two-trick pony. And if they don't innovate something major, well, the short sellers already see what I've tried to convey to you. The UK and France are going to work together to tackle online extremism. Prime Minister Theresa May says the internet must not be allowed to be a safe space for terrorists. Well, there's nothing you can do to stop it because because of the cloud, they used to say things like, oh, well, he's got a server, he's going to move it to another island or whatever. And you don't even need islands anymore. Just move it to another cloud. An Uber board member has resigned after making a sexist comment at a meeting intended to address sexism. That's pretty stupid. David Bonderman said his comment was inexcusable. Russian hackers targeted the U.S. electoral system in 39 states, according to Bloomberg. There is reportedly evidence they tried to alter or delete voter data. Show me the proof. Come on. How much more of this do we have to take? There is a 13-page report available that's rocking Uber's culture to its core. Its recommendations include rewriting its cultural values, limiting alcohol at company parties, finding a COO, and we read the email the other day that Travis had sent a couple years ago to the company saying that, the upcoming company party, maybe it's a good idea if you guys don't have sex, because some of our drivers and administrative staff actually have families and children, and they might come to the party. So, I'm going to let you go so that you can listen to Janet Yellen, and I can attack the stack of work in front of me. How about that? We're all over the hump now. This hump day Wednesday, the 14th day of June, 2017. Ed Corey will be joining us tomorrow. He is our resident Elliott Wave technician, and in a former life, he was a commercial crude trader. So he's our every other Thursday friend, and tomorrow is his Thursday. And then on Friday, Jason will be joining us again. So, that's radio. Thanks so much for tuning in today. Whoever you are, wherever you are, May God continue to richly bless you with His mercy and with His grace. And I'll see you at the bell.
Remember this, there is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of our host, Dwayne Reeves, his co-hosts, and guests. To learn more about trading E-mini futures or to take a 1-week free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Information discussed on this radio program should not be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a licensed securities broker or financial planner before making any investment decision.